Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to my talk today. My name is Barret Vasilchik. I'm an indie game developer, and I'm going to be talking to you about how to bring your game ideas to life, whether you already know about game development or you don't know anything about game development. This is a talk for anyone interested. So, how the journey began for me personally. I actually went to school for game development. I worked at a few game companies. There was a lot of layoffs. I switched over into tech. I was just kind of feeling lost, binge watching Netflix shows. And I was on the couch one day realizing I have this talent, I have these skills, I have this desire to create, but all I'm doing is consuming entertainment. And I thought, why am I wasting potential? I have plenty of ideas. Oh, and I missed the game development world, even though I switched over to software. So that's kind of how I got the inspiration and motivation to make a game of my own. And some people, maybe you just need that extra push. Mine was literally just binge watching Netflix, wondering, why am I doing this so much? So maybe you have an idea. We all have ideas. I just knew that I wanted to make a game, so I started coming up with ideas, but I didn't know which one was best or anything. I just knew I need to make something. I have been playing games most of my life. I have plenty of ideas in my head, but which one is the best? So what I did is I just took a step back to my childhood and thought about games that I liked playing, such as platformers from the 16-bit era consoles like Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. And I always loved these kind of games because they were in that pixel art style that I grew up with. So the newer games that come out that look the same as this era, I always enjoyed that art style. I always enjoyed that gameplay. But I felt there's more that can be done with it still today, even though the game may look like something that could have been played on Super Nintendo. As game developers, we're always wanting to push new ideas, do new things. So that was one of the first things. I knew that it wanted to do a 2D pixel art style game that reminded me of my childhood days. Then I don't particularly like straight up tower defense games. I like what they call action defense games, where instead of just laying down traps and towers and waiting for the enemies to come by, you actually get to be in the combat. These are a few of them. Sanctum is actually a first-person shooter tower defense game. Orcs Must Die and Dungeon Defenders are third-person action tower defense games. My game, Calorie Defenders, is most heavily influenced by the game Orcs Must Die. Essentially, you're just fighting a bunch of orcs, laying down traps, trying to take them out. My game's similar, except for it's candy that you must destroy, and you're playing as veggies. So I wanted to take these two genres of my childhood and my current gaming and combine them together. So take the old school 16-bit style platformers and mash it with these action defense games. So that was my idea. I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew kind of the type of game I was looking for, except for these games are all in 3D, and I wanted to do it in 2D. So now I kind of know what I want to do. I know the kind of game I want to make, but in gaming, everything has theme, it has world. You want it to have an identity of its own. You look at the Mario games, they're bright and colorful. You look at Sonic the Hedgehog, he's a character, he's unique, he's a identifiable mascot. I wanted my game to have a unique look that would stand out and characters that would stand out that you would know were from this world. So trying to come up with different brainstorms, different ideas, trying to figure out what could we do here. I was looking at other games for inspiration, such as Enter the Gungeon. They do a wonderful job of turning everything into the game themed around bullets. You even have bullets as characters, bullets as enemies. Some of the architecture of the world has bullets, and it's all themed around this, and it kind of builds this world that is completely unique to Enter the Dungeon. You may have played a top-down shooter roguelite, but you haven't played one that everything is themed as bullets. Then we have Hollow Knight, which is a Metroidvania, which there's plenty of those, but it's themed after bugs. Everything in this world looks like cute little bugs living in an underground city, and it's all themed to that world. So I wanted to do something like that. I was trying to figure out, how can I come up with a unique idea? Well, I used to work at a job that had a break room that basically, normal break rooms I've worked at have vending machines. Well, this break room, they wanted to be fancy, and they gave you access to all the chips, all the soda, all the candy, 5 different jars. So every day I would go by, I'd be ready to go home, and I see that jar of Reese's Pieces in the distance, those peanut M&Ms, and I'm like, ugh, I'll just take a few for the road. I know I had a bunch for lunch and other breaks. And it was just like this thing where the candy was tempting me. So I thought, okay, Orcs Must Die is about orcs that you have to stop from reaching your castle. What if it was about trying to stop the candy from being eaten? What is the enemy of the candy? The vegetables. Now, you may not like vegetables, but if you don't like vegetables, maybe you like candy. So you have these two worlds colliding together. And I came up with this idea that the candy and the vegetables would be battling inside the body. So it would be a unique setting. You don't see a lot of it. There are some games that have that. A unique genre blending of platforming and tower defense, and then cute, adorable pixel art characters. Our game idea has been conceived. Calorie Defenders. Now I know what I want to make. I know the world that I want it to be in. So next thing we have to do is actually start making the game. This is the hardest part. We can all probably, anyone who's watching or in the room could probably get to this point. And you may have already. But actually starting, as funny as it sounds, is the hardest thing of all. Just pushing yourself to take that next step and actually start prototyping, start learning about game development. So now we are going on an adventure. We are beginning our journey. And what a journey it is. I'm still on the journey, and I don't know how long it will be, and I hope to continue making games, making many more. How did I get started? Well, I had something called the Humble Bundle. I subscribed to it. I often got their packages. They had a game developer bundle that had Game Maker Studio. And I think it was like $14.99 or something. And I thought, okay, I bought it. I hadn't used it for I had bought it and hadn't even used it for about 1 or 2 years. And I thought, well, I have this tool. I paid for it already. Everyone online is saying it's working well. It's easy to use. My game is in 2D, which this game engine and tool is mostly used for. So I thought, I'll get started with this. This will be something I learned. Now, I did work and go to school for game development, but I took a break for a long time. And the industry changes and the tools change. So it was kind of like starting over, teaching myself. I was looking at YouTube videos, searching for articles online, learning how to do demos, and just kind of head first, gain my hands on it, starting it myself. And anyone can do this. A lot of the knowledge of how to do this is out there for free. Some of the tools cost money. Some of them have trials. Game Maker, they have a free trial, but you do have to pay. But there's other game engines like Unity and Godot and Unreal Engine. So it all depends on what kind of game you want to make. So the first thing you start out with is what they call a prototype. Your prototype is not going to be pretty looking. It's not going to be something that you might really be proud to show off. But what it is showing is that you have a concept. So I just did a simple prototype of some enemies that will jump upstairs and go back and forth when they hit walls. And then I had some traps that activate with spikes, and the level was just blocks. Very simple, but I was seeing how I can make this idea come to life at the very basic level. And the enemy code today is actually very similar to what we have here. This is kind of further along. So I started adding more enemies. This broccoli that I got done, it's not by myself. I actually had an artist, but the rest of the art is stuff I did, what we call programmer art. So the colors look weird and not everything is the best looking, but the idea is starting to come more and more alive. You iterate on it. You don't want to put all your focus into the art and making it look great and fancy at first, because you want to make sure it feels good. You want to make sure it plays well. You want to test or prototype your idea to see if it's a good idea. So as you continue on, you iterate, and you may want to ask friends or family to try it out to see if it makes sense or if it only makes sense to you. And then you just keep expanding on that. Now, I got to a point where I had some things going on, and I felt like the mechanics were pretty good. I felt like this world I was building was what I wanted, but the problem was, at heart, I'm a programmer / designer. My art skills are not really there. Do I know how to make music? No. Now, so that doesn't mean you can't do it all by yourself, or that should stop you, but for what I wanted to do with this game, I realized game development is hard and I need help. I could have learned how to do wonderful pixel art and music, but I'm getting too old for that. A lot of you may be a lot younger and have a lot more time, but there's nothing wrong with having a team. For me, it's actually really fun. So I went on it, set out to find some people to work with me. I went finding these people. The only problem was I didn't know really how to do this or where to look. I just knew that I couldn't do it myself. So I did some research. I read. People were saying it's really hard to find an artist that matches your style. It's really, you might have to go through several people to get someone who matches your vision. So I was doing my research. What I wanted to do was something that was low risk, low cost. I knew that bringing a teammate on like this, for me, I went the route of paying them. Now, some people do where they share the funds that the game makes. It's called revenue share, but it's sort of frowned upon because if the game never gets developed, then you don't get any money. But I went the route of trying to find people to work with me to contract, but I didn't know what I was doing. And the first place I went was a website called Fiverr.com. Now this is hit or miss, but I got extremely, extremely lucky. The very first person I contacted, Carrie Lake, she's a pixel artist from Canada. She made the little broccoli that you in the game. That was the very first thing. And I was so happy with what she produced that we ended up becoming partners. And she now works on the game. She does all the art. All the cuteness in the game is because of her. And we have a wonderful working relationship. And I got so lucky to find her. You may not get as lucky. That's why I'm telling you this. This is just what I did. There's plenty of other ways. Then again, I got lucky. I share a lot of stuff on Discord, and I was approached by a composer by the name of Fail Positive, and I didn't know anything about music or sound effects or anything really like that, and he just saw some of the gameplay that I was sharing, the art that Carrie did caught his eye, and he sent me samples of music, and I just loved what I was hearing, and we've been working ever since. So he approached me, which it could happen to you if you share a game idea that grabs their attention. They may actually reach out to you asking if you need anyone. So it can work both ways, looking for people, and people might come to you. Now we are finally forming the team. We're a 3-person indie dev team. We're all located in different areas. I'm here in the Raleigh Triangle area. Carrie's in the Canada area, and the composer, Fail Positive, he's in Georgia. So all of us are spread across the country, but we're working together online on this game. Now, how do we do that? Because now a lot of people, it's popular to work with people remotely. But when I first started this, it was kind of a new journey for me, working with people that I've never met. And unfortunately, I still haven't got to meet them. We work completely remotely. Thankfully, we're all on the same time zone, so that helps a lot. The 2 main tools that we use are something called Trello, which is a completely free-to-use tool. And the way we use it is kind of as a task management tool where I will make tasks for art and music and put the details in, and then you can make cards and move them to whatever row you want. So you can say like it's in progress, it's done, it needs to go in the game, stuff like that. You can customize it whatever workflow works for you, but we use that to assign tasks and show task completion, and it works really great for us. We also use Discord as our communication tool. I have a Discord server for Calorie defenders, but Discord is totally free. You can make your own private server if you just want to use that for communication. You can do voice chat, video chat. We just do text, and sometimes we'll share different ideas or different assets. A song might get posted or some new artwork, and that like helps get everyone on the same page, helps everyone see what the goal of the game is. And that even though we're all separated, we're kind of come together and we talk there and brainstorm different ideas. So for me, that has been a greatly helpful tool and completely free to use. This is an example of our Trello board that I was speaking of earlier. So you can see I just have in progress. That just means someone's working on it. Sign off is just like I'll need to sign off on it. Needs to be in the game are things that the work is done as far as the art or music. I just need to put in the game, and then done is when I have it in the game. So this is just my workflow. You can customize Trello however you like and use it accordingly. It's a very easy to use tool, but also a powerful tool with all the customization available. I like to put the artwork inside the cards and give different examples. Yeah, so now I have this team. We're working on things, but the game is not just the team. The game is the community, the people who are going to help you make your game great. The people who are going to be advocates for your game are going to tell their friends and have their friends tell their friends. The people are going to give you feedback and critiques. So a couple ways that I have done to build this. Now there's plenty of social media platforms out there, but the ones that I found for game development that are pretty good is Reddit. They have a lot of game dev subreddits, somewhere you can post your screenshots, gameplay, and other things like that. Then on Discord, I'm a part of many different game dev servers. A lot of times people will show off what they're working on and people will give you feedback, or you can learn about different things such as new game development tools or gaming events. It's just a place that is full of people. Like there's a Game Maker Discord, Unreal Engine Discord, a Unity Discord, a Godot Discord. So if you're having problems, you can reach out to people, tell them your problem, and they have help channels where people will help you troubleshoot. So even if you get stuck in something in game development, there's a really wonderful community of people who are all about helping one another. It's not a competition. It's not trying to hide things. Everyone wants to help each other. It's sort of like a family. Everyone is trying to promote you and support you in this community. So you don't want to be afraid to ask questions or be shy or think that you're asking a stupid question, because all these people, they just want the same thing you want. They want to make games and they want to help people make games, and that's what they're there for. Twitter. Now you hear different things about Twitter. My Twitter is just full of pixel artists, video game, and game developers. So that's what I see on my feed. There's a particularly helpful hashtag called Screenshot Saturday. And what this is just a chance for anyone in game development making games. It's kind of funny because this hashtag is a little bit dated. Everyone does gifs now, but you can post this screenshot if you want, and you just kind of post something interesting, and people look at this hashtag on Saturday, and sometimes you can get noticed. I've had a couple times where there's been articles written, top 10 games of hashtag Saturday, or Screenshot Saturday, my bad. And I just woke up and saw that. There's been people who started following my game, joined my Discord because of something I posted on Screenshot Saturday. It's a super easy way to share what you're working on, and you may even get noticed by other people who want to work on your game. You could get noticed by publishers. You could get some really good feedback of something that you didn't think of. So I just wanted to show you a couple of the screenshot GIFs that I did. This one here is just a jawbreaker. And this was kind of caught a lot of people's attention because it's this big giant candy jawbreaker and you're trying to run away from it. And as it breaks apart, it gets smaller and angrier. And it was really popular. So you want to get something, you only have a limited attention span. People scroll through their Twitter, but you get something that can catch their eyes and they'll look at it. And that's what Screenshot Saturday is all about. Here's another one. This one was more of an art screenshot. In our game, we have gingerbread houses. And these gingerbread houses are what spawn the enemy candy. But I really like this gingerbread house because it's somewhat terrifying, but also adorable. And I just really loved it. And it wasn't even in the game yet, but I just wanted to share the art because I really love this a lot. So this was one that a lot of people liked as well. This is another one where the broccoli was the last character in the game to get their combat implemented. So I was kind of showing some of the attacks of the broccoli and just showed in this one. It's just a short little clip, but it has a lot of action and a lot packed into it. That one did really well. And then this one, I did 4 different GIFs in one. The reason why I did this was because since I'm making a game that's blending different genres together, it's sometimes hard to explain what the game is, because part of it you're exploring around the body, other parts you're doing these tower defense style missions. So it's not easy to grasp at first. Now, that's probably my fault for trying to make a game that's not of a normal genre, but a hybrid genre. But sometimes when you do that, maybe people find it interesting because they haven't played something. It's familiar, but it's also different. If it's too familiar, it's boring. If it's too different, then it's frustrating because you don't know how the heck to play this game. So trying to find that happy medium of familiarity with also variation of something different, new, and exciting. So this one did really well. A lot of people liked it. So now you got your community, you have your team, you're showing off your game, you're doing all these things, everything's going great. There's something called conferences. You're either watching it online or here in this room. Now, we haven't had conferences in a while. This is great to be physically in person in front of everyone here. But this was my very first conference I went to. It was a Minecraft convention. I had no idea what to expect. I actually got invited because my game was family friendly and they wanted someone local. I went here, and this was my first in-person conference. Now, I tried to do research on what to be prepared for, what to do, what to expect. One of the biggest tips I was told was to bring water. I didn't understand it at first, but you will be doing a lot of talking. And if you're like me, a shy, reserved kind of introvert person who doesn't do much actual speaking, I felt like I spoke more in a month during that weekend at that conference. So you want to stay hydrated, keep your mouth, hydrated. You don't want to have a dry mouth and not be able to speak. So water is very important. Another thing is be prepared to take down notes. This is going to be so valuable for you because before you're hearing people talk about what they think of your game, you're getting feedback. Maybe you've let some people play, but they might be close family and friends, so they might tell you it's better than it really is. Like when I show my mom the game, she thinks it's the greatest thing in the world. But you go here and people don't even have to tell you things. If you watch how they play, I learned so many things of things that I thought made perfect, clear sense in my head, but people are getting stuck on. They didn't understand it. It's still even happening today, and I'm writing down notes, trying to improve things to make it so it's a really good player experience. And you can't really get that. Sure, you can watch, if someone could watch a video of them playing, but being able to be there live in person, watching them play your game, where you can even ask them questions, they can ask you questions, you can just silently observe. You get so much good feedback from that live, unbiased gameplay. And I learned so much. Also, for me, it was motivating. It was extremely motivating to see this game, this idea that came from my mind that I brought people together to make, that none of us knew if it was even fun. And at this convention, and I wasn't even making a game specifically for children or anything like that. I just was making a game I thought was reminding of my childhood and that I thought would be fun. But I saw that kids actually were able to pick it up and play and have fun. And to see someone enjoy your game, the creation that you've worked so hard on, it is something that is just a wonderful thing to experience live right there. It makes it worth it. All the hard work that you've put in, all the work that everyone has put in, getting to see that moment when someone is enjoying what you made. They're having fun with it. That's what we're here for. We want to make fun. We want to tell stories. We want to make our own creations. And when we make that and someone else enjoys it, that's what we strive for. That's what I'm here for. That's why I want to make a game. I want others to enjoy it. So I highly recommend taking your game to a conference. You may be shy, you may be nervous, you may be anxious, but this is something you love, something you're passionate about. So who is better to talk about it than you? And you will see it makes a huge difference versus posting online on Reddit and Twitter to actually get that live in-person feedback. So I just wanted to show you a gameplay clip of the game. Well, thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the talk and hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about taking a game dev journey. I'm open for questions. Anything you want to know, feel free to ask me.
So we did have a couple questions come in online, and the first question was, is this game your full-time job? And if not, how do you balance work/game development/life?
Thank you for asking that question. That's a real great question. This game is actually not my full-time job. I wish it was my full-time job, but I'm actually working a full-time job that's helping support the development of this game. And the best thing that has worked for me is a schedule. Now, the pandemic flipped things around for me because before I would go to a physical office, so I was in a different work environment, then I would come home, and that was a different work environment. Well, now my work environment is all at home. So it's a little bit harder. Some people suggest doing, in that situation, doing like a separate room. So you're in a, even though you're still at home, you're in a different environment. So you can change your headspace, but it is something, right? This pandemic has been a motivation blocker for me. So I'm finally starting to get the motivation back. And the time is just something, for me, a schedule. So I would get up sometimes like 2 hours before I started to need to normally get up to get ready for work. So I'd have that 2 hours in the morning. And then I'm done with that. I go to work. If I want to, when I come home, I might work on the game, but I feel good because I'm doing consistency. I feel like consistency helps a lot, even if that consistency is 20 minutes every day, because you're putting in that 20 minutes and you're building a habit and it's on your mind. So you may be thinking of things in between the day because you're doing it consistently. So I think consistency and scheduling are kind of really helpful, at least for my type of work style.
Thank you. So there's another question, which is what was the primary driving factor in the game engine that you chose?
Okay, that's a great question about a game engine. So the main factor was I had purchased in the Humble Bundle Game Maker Studio for like $14.99. There was an upgrade to get Game Maker Studio 2, but I saw that I looked at it and I saw that it was very easy to use. Even though I have a programming background, I am doing coding and programming with Game Maker. But if you're a beginner, it does also have something called drag and drop, which is a visual programming. You don't need to know any code. And then if you feel confident, you could switch over to doing code. I just really liked how quick and easy it was to get something up and running on the screen. And a lot of 2D games, it seemed very good for 2D games. If you want to do 3D, some people do it with Game Maker, but it's not really designed for that. It's designed more for 2D. So me personally, I saw it was more of a real easy entry point. Even though I had experience, I was thinking this will be easy for me to learn and pick up.
Thank you so much. Does anyone else have any questions? Well, Barret, thank you so much for coming in today. And everyone give him a round of applause. Thanks for taking time to share your game with us and give us all a little bit of advice. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us. And those at the conference, we're showcasing the game over in the Sheraton Hotel, 3rd floor, if you want to play it. Or join our Discord. We have the alpha build available. Thank you.